Foreman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
NFL Divisional round is here, guys. Saturday and Sunday games once again. Gotta love these Saturday games, right? Gotta love them. Now, the night game kind of does interfere with the UFC. That's the only thing. But it's a pay-per-view card. It's a later card, so it shouldn't affect it this week. We'll take a look at all four games, give a brief breakdown on all of them. I do have a pending best bet for this week, also a client card. You know where to go for that, systemsportscapping.com or link.me/systemcapping. Everything's over there, right? Resume, records, client comments, and more. If you're watching on YouTube, please give a thumbs up. A lot of my listeners are over on Apple and Spotify these days. Please review, rate. It only takes a few seconds. Another profitable weekend last week in the NFL. Thanks to the Eagles. We were on the Eagles in 3 different markets, guys. I attacked them at -4.5 in the spread market. I had them in a money line parlay. I had them in the teaser market. If they fell short, it would have been a bad week. But it was a great spot against the Packers. Packers coming into that game cold, not playing good football. Eagles were able to play good defense and win that game. Also, Ravens, we back. We were on the Bills around the market as well. Only negatives were in the player prop market. We had an anytime TD parlay with Barkley and Henry, plus 158. That missed out because of Barkley, because he went down by a knee. He could have ran in, remember, at the end of the game? Could have ran in. He went down. Instead, that happens. Henry got in, 2 times? So that was easy. Might have to look back at that 2-teamer, 2 parlay this week, anytime touchdown. And then we had the Knicks over passing yards. Looked great. Looked great at the start, right? He had 70 yards in the first drive. And then the Bills kind of just shut him down. There he wasn't able to get any late passing, which I expected, right? Fourth quarter comeback passing, and it just never was there for him. He was humbled on the road in Buffalo. A nice year end to the year now, right? Just 3-4 weeks straight profitable, just under 20 units on the season. Pending Ravens outright plus 1,200. Lions plus 1,100. Both pending from the start of the year. I also bet the Ravens a little later in the year too. I forget what the price was. But let's go. We got some games to talk about here. But before that, just want to talk about the Hot Takes app. Guys, you guys probably been hearing me talk about it. Seeing it on my socials. I've been posting. I do run their Twitter. I also took a consulting role in them. I do some writing work for them as well. You guys know I do a lot of freelance writing. So I did some for their website as well. So go check that out. If you've seen my podcast, UFC podcast, if you listen to that, you would have saw it already or heard it already, depending where you're listening to this. But basically, it's just a free play app. You go in, you make plays for the day, whatever you like. You get them through tokens. So you get tokens every day. And then you do well, you turn into real cash or Bitcoin. It's a no-brainer to bet. It also keeps track of your record, which is great, right? So you go in there, you can keep track of your record. It doesn't have all sports yet. It just launched on Wednesday, on the 15th. It doesn't have every sport yet, but that's the major sports like NFL, NBA, NHL, NCAA, MLB, right? So that's major sports. UFC hopefully will be coming soon. As you can see here, this is my profile. Already 5-1 and 83%, guys. I just have fun on there, right? I kind of do. I don't really play specifically my client plays, just, gut feeling plays. I'll go on here. You can already see doing well. You get to test your knowledge, right? Stack up against people. This isn't out yet, but they are going to start in February, I believe, a leaderboard. Kind of see where you at. You could also search by state that you're in on how well you're doing. So that's fun. Definitely go download that now. App Store, Google, Apple, or whatever you have. You can also check their website out at hottakesapp.com. I'm very high on the company. That's why I did take a position with them. Part-time role, of course. So go check them out, guys. Let's hear from my friend Kristen before we get into these games.
For you sports bettors out there, let's be honest, you probably need a little bit of help beating those books. System Capping is a proven long-term winner against the sports betting market in multiple sports. He's built a worldwide clientele due to his high winning percentage over the years. Be sure to click the link on the bio down here to check out his profile, and you can also find out his resume, client comments, podcasts, and subscription opportunities. I'm going to be following him along too, so let's win some money together this season.
Shop around, guys. Shop around, have access to multiple sports books. I can't stress that enough. I actually did an article just on the Hot Takes app about line shopping and how important it is and giving examples from book to book. Go check that out if you haven't already. You hear me talk about it, get multiple books. I go detailed and breakdown on why it is very important. Let's get into it. Saturday games, guys. First game, 4:30 p.m. Texans at Chiefs. Chiefs 8.5 total, 41.5 low total there, and I get it. Texans find themselves versus the champs and not the Chargers. I like the Texans last week. They're probably my favorite underdog to win, right up there with Washington. Both came through. I didn't bet them as an underdog personally for clients. I did have them in the teaser market though, which we were able to cash on. I didn't expect a blowout, of course. I don't think anyone did, right? A lot of people thought Chargers were going to win that game. And I get it, right? Texans weren't playing good ball towards the end of the year. Now, keep in mind, some of those losses were against top teams, one of them being the Chiefs, Ravens. They were able to get a win over the Titans late. Even though they didn't start a lot of guys, they were able to get a win at least, right? Get a little confidence going into the playoffs, right? And they looked like the team we expected them to be, right at the beginning of the year. They still won the division. They still cashed my best bet. I had a best bet on them to win the South. I think AFC South they're playing. Yep. Plus 105. So that cash as a best bet for us. That still happened due to their weak division. But they didn't play up to their hype. Now, losing Stephon Diggs was tough. Dell, they did have some injuries. But it was Stroud. Stroud wasn't playing up to the hype, right? It didn't look like he did last year. The sophomore slump, as some say, right? But he looked good. He looked decent against the Chargers, when it mattered, right? 22 for 33, not bad. 282 yards, 1 TD, the 1 interception, right? That interception has been haunting him a little bit. Last time they played against the Chiefs, 2 interceptions. So that's going to be important here. Texans don't turn the ball over. They have a chance to hang around in this game. It's that simple. Right, but what I loved is this Houston defense. I really like this Houston defense. It's always good, right? It was fairly good all year. Let's be honest, right? 4 interceptions against Herbert last week. Held them to 12 points. Can they limit the Chiefs this week in similar fashion? Not 12 points. I don't see it. But it is possible they can go in there and, limit them, right? A couple notes here. Chiefs, 8-0 at home. Right? Texans 5-4 on the road. You don't like that for the Texans' favor, of course. Chiefs beat them already this year at Arrowhead, 27-19. Not too long, like a month ago, guys. Right? Houston struggled to run the ball in their first meeting. That's going to be important. Can Houston run the ball? This is when their offense gets going. A lot of teams' offenses get going when you can run the ball because it opens up the pass game. Right, Mixon had, 106 against the Chargers? Collins, 122 yards, opens up the pass game. You're able to run the ball. You got to watch out for Mixon, right? Great running back, great year. He has to get going for them to be successful in this game. Chiefs limited him in the first game, only 50 yards. That's going to be the key here. If the Texans could get the run game going, can open up the pass. Remember, no Diggs, no Dell. Just got pretty much Collins out there, right? Pretty much. Let's be honest, guys. right? Love to see this Texans team with all their wide receivers. Be fun. Be fun to watch. Hopefully we see that next year. But yeah, it's hard to see the Texans go into Arrowhead and beat them. I do expect the Chiefs to win this game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans hang around, though, due to the defense. The big thing is, are they going to be able to not turn the ball over? And is Stroud going to be able to play even similar to last week? And are they going to be able to run the ball? There's a lot of questions with the Texans. They got to play almost perfect just to hang around, in my opinion. So it's not going to be a client play for me, but for podcast purpose, I'm going to lean Texans plus 8.5 and close my eyes. But I do expect Chiefs to win this game. I do think Texans can hang around due to their defense. I think the defense can do enough just on the road. Check the weather as well for this game. I am not, running to the window to back the Texans here. You also see 61% of the public markets on the Texans. You don't love that. And also, I'm not in the business of betting against the Chiefs, especially at Arrowhead. Washington at Detroit. Detroit minus 9.5 total, 55.5. We got a fun one here, guys, right? They're saying it could be a shootout. It definitely could be a shootout. Right, Washington coming to this game confident. Got the road win in Tampa. I thought they could win that game. I think a lot of people thought, they could win this game. Maybe even a little more than the Texans. Could they play spoilers again? I thought Washington played well in that game enough. And it was the Terry McLaurin and Daniels connection, right? Wow. Are they going to be able to do that again? That's the big question here, right? That's going to be the attack. Throw it to your best player. Brown had a big game too. He stepped up huge for them. No recent history between these two. Can't really look at anything. We were on Washington actually in the teaser market last week for clients. We got Lions coming off a bye healthier, right? David Montgomery's back. You got that two-headed monster back. At running back. Great in the red zone. That's what I like about Montgomery. You want to get Gibbs on the field as much as possible. That's what I kind of liked when Montgomery was off a little bit. But then you like Montgomery in certain situations, right? Red zone, right? You want a 5-yard touchdown run. He's there. You want midfield yards, like 10. You can pick up 7, 8, 10 yards off a run. He runs heavy. Poor man's Derrick Henry, in my opinion. So he's good to have, especially in playoff football. A guy like David Montgomery. Downhill runner, as they say. Washington struggles versus the run, guys. You don't want to struggle versus the run against this team with the two-headed monster. 28th in yards allowed per attempt. 30th in rushing yards allowed at 135. That's pretty much at the bottom of the NFL, guys. I could see Washington putting up some points here, but just not able to keep up with this Lions offense, like most teams, right? If you're going to get into a shootout with Detroit, give me the Detroit 10 out of 10 times. I believe that Vikings win gave them a lot of confidence on the defensive side of the ball. They're getting a little healthier on the defensive side of the ball. No surprises here, right? We're going to be on the Lions. Lions should win this game. Wouldn't be surprised if it's by 10 or more. That's why I see that 9.5 spread. Total 55.5. I just can't bet these. I don't have the balls to bet these overs. When I see 55.5, 54.5, very difficult to get to. Very difficult. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a shootout, right? 30-24 or, 34-20, something around those lines you could see here, unless Washington's defense really steps up here, which we haven't seen it often. So it'd be surprising if Washington limits Detroit to 20 points. It would be pretty surprising in my opinion. Sunday game, guy. Rams versus Eagles. First one here. It's at 3 p.m. A little different timing. Eagles -6, total 44. We expect some snow in this game. I'm seeing snow in the forecast. Not good news for the LA team, right? Who likes to pass the ball, used to the warmer weather. Always check the day of, though. Weather before has got me, right? I've bet weather games a couple days before, and then on the day it's fine. And again, wind is the issue, guys. Wind is mainly the issue, especially for totals, right? Snow or rain doesn't really matter that much on totals. Now, if it's like a heavy snowstorm, yes, it's going to matter. You're going to play props over rushing. The passing game's not going to be as there. But it's more the wind. I don't believe it's going to be windy there. You would want to check that, of course. But snow is not that much of a factor unless it's heavy. So always do your research before betting on games, especially at this time of the year, guys. Rams got the upset win over the Vikings, right? 27-9 in a blowout. I thought Vikings were already deflated going into that game after that Lions lost. Darnold in the playoffs, just not that guy. Not that guy. It's going to be interesting what they do with Minnesota. Are they going to bring him back? Are they going to go with the rookie? We will see. Eagles look solid, right, against the Packers. I expected them to, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Yes, the big story has been Barkley. Yes, Barkley in Philly has been the big story of the year. But their I feel like their defense isn't talked about enough. And they're first in yards allowed, 10th in rushing allowed, first in passing allowed, top 10 in most stats across the board. It's not talked about enough. Right, not too long ago, we saw them limit the Ravens big time on the road. That defensive line, guys, very good. Good corners. That Mitchell guy's having a good year as a rookie. Right, Philly allowed, they played already, right? Don't forget this. They've played already, limited Rams to 20 points, won that game by 17. Very important. I don't believe much changes here. Eagles by a TD or more is what I expect here. If it snows, I would actually uptick the Eagles as liking that more, and it could move. Right now it's at 6. Got to back the Eagles here. Eagles Lions is kind of what I expected at the mid-season or even start of the playoffs here, and I don't believe that changes. Right? It's hard to see either one of these teams upset in the NFC. Ravens -1 versus the Bills. The Bills. It's going to be cold. It's going to be cold in Buffalo, guys. January playoff football in Buffalo makes sense, right? Makes sense. No snow, I don't think. It's just going to be cold. We saw this matchup already, right? Don't forget we saw this matchup already. Ravens blew out the Bills 35-10 in Baltimore in week 4. Now it's early in the season, but Bills were playing slimmer football then. I do believe they had some injuries on defense, if I recall. But Ravens didn't have their defense that they have now. So that is something worth mentioning as well. I just believe this matchup is not great for the Bills. It's mainly on the defensive side of the ball. They don't match up well against teams that run the ball heavy. Right? Smaller defense. They usually play 4 up front at times. They only play like a base defense, which is more, more guys stacking up in the box trying to stop the run. 3.6% of snaps, which is the lowest in the NFL. This is a stat I saw. I can't remember where I saw it, but I do a lot of research. All right, so 3.6% of snaps, lowest in the NFL. Then they tried to play it against the Ravens in week 4 because Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. 24.6% of the time against the Ravens, they played the base defense, and they allowed 247 yards. They're not used to playing that style. Their defense isn't built to stop a guy like Derrick Henry or Lamar Jackson. You have to stop the run against this Ravens team. They don't do it well in that style of defense, and you have to play that style if you want to stack the box and stop the run. Right? The Bills don't have that big personnel up front. They don't really have a guy to follow Lamar around either. And it's not just Lamar and Henry, guys. This O-line for the Ravens are playing exceptional. They throw in there Pat Ricard, their fullback, Pro Bowl fullback. Their tight ends as well block a lot. There's a guy, Charlie Kohler, most of you guys probably won't know. Great blocking tight end. Andrews will block as well. Likely's learning to block a little more too. So they throw a lot of guys in there. It's not just the O-line. Right? They have personnel to block and get the holes for Derrick Henry. And I just think they're going to be too physical for this Bills team up front. I expect the Ravens to bully their way to victory here. right? I expect the Bills to try to stack the box. I expect and try to get Lamar to beat them in the air, especially if Zay Flowers is out. That's a downgrade for the Ravens. If Zay Flowers is not playing, it's a downgrade, especially if they're going to stack the box, right? You're going to have Bateman, likely Andrews. They have weapons, right? It's just you want a guy like Zay Flowers, very twitchy, you can get yards after the catch. You're not going to have that. So it is a little bit of a downgrade to the offense, obviously the passing offense. But if they're going there to just bully them, it's not going to matter that much, right? It's not going to matter as much if they go into and play that style. Right? The way to beat teams, you got to make them one-dimensional. And if you can stop the run for the Bills, you'll win the game. Totally shut down the Bills' run game like they did in Week 4. Right? Cook couldn't get going at all. And there's a reason why the Ravens are first in the NFL against the run, guys. First in the NFL. And that's how Bills do well. They have to run the ball well to get that pass game going. They don't have superstars on offense to just beat guys one-on-one. They got to be able to run the ball, and then open up the pass game. So if they can run the ball in the Ravens, I think they can have success in the game. Could be a very close game. Bills obviously with a chance to win the game, but it would have to be, a Lamar turnover type of game. 2 turnovers. It would have to be Henry doesn't go off for 100 plus. And if for some reason the Ravens defense, who's been first in the NFL across the board since week 13. First in the NFL since week 13 in most stats, guys. They're going to have to just disappear off the face of the earth. I don't think the weather is going to play that much. Baltimore plays in the cold too, guys. Right? It's not going to be that much of a difference. I think it could favor the Ravens. Henry coming down full speed in the cold. Do you want to be tackling the guy in the third, fourth quarter? No. You don't want to be. Right? So I don't believe the cold plays that much of a factor, guys. Let's be honest. Maybe a little bit in the passing game, but who does that favor? Right? You would probably say the Bills want to pass a little more, get those big chunk plays. So I don't look at the cold much here. If it was like a big snowstorm, yeah, I would favor the Bills a little bit because they've played in a lot more than the Ravens. But there's no big snowstorm here. So that's not something we have to look at. It's just going to be cold. And everyone plays in the cold. I actually went to it wasn't that cold though, but I went to a Baltimore-Miami game on New Year's Eve last year. It was cold. I remember it was cold, and they put up like 50 points on Miami. I don't think it's going to be as cold as it is in Buffalo. But still, Baltimore gets cold, guys. It's nothing new. They've played in Buffalo too in the cold. So I don't believe that's going to be a factor. We got some fun games this weekend, guys. We got some fun games. You know what I'll be doing all weekend? No plans, of course. I actually got a friend's birthday Friday, 40th for her. So that will be that'll be fun. And then the rest of the weekend, obviously, sports. UFC, big UFC card. These NFL games. And you can throw in a little NHL in there, a little NBA as well, some golf. What a weekend. Like I always say, guys, bet smart and know your limits. Thanks for listening.